Happy Easter, everybody. I hope everyone's doing well. Yeah, Persephone's Perceptions. If you're not sure of where the name Persephone comes from, it's from the Greek myths, and why I chose the name Persephone, because it's really like a running theme in my life, with Pluto ruling my natal chart. It's about death, rebirth, and transformation. Persephone was the daughter of Zeus and Demeter. And Demeter absolutely adored Persephone. And one day Persephone decided to go out and pick some flowers in a meadow, and Hades, the god of the underworld, who was also one of Zeus's brothers, came upon her and fell in love with her and decided he was going to have her. And because he's lord of the underworld and not full of integrity, he just kidnapped her and took her in his chariot down into the bowels of the earth. And Demeter was heartbroken. She couldn't find her daughter. I don't think she knew immediately what happened to her. But in her grief, she turned the fertile earth cold and dark and barren. And that is the myth of why we have fall and winter. When Demeter found out that Hades had Persephone, she begged with him to bring her daughter back. And he made a bargain with her and told her that for 6 months out of the year, Persephone could come back, and 6 months she would stay in the underworld with him. And when Persephone comes out of the earth, out of the bowels of the earth, and back to be with her mother, in her joy, Demeter turned everything green and lush and warm again. That's why we have spring and summer. So that's why I chose Persephone's Perceptions. And like the running theme in my life of deep transformation, right now I'm witnessing the shadow of my aging parents, but more so right now my dad's dementia is taking another turn. And though we're really blessed to have been for probably the past 6 years or so since his diagnosis, have him be pretty functional. Like the personality's still there. He doesn't get ornery at night like what they call sundown monster syndrome. But he does forget a lot. And with the forgetting, like he read the paper 5 times or little things like that, it's not a big deal. But what's happening now is that the dementia is becoming more severe. It's plaque in the brain that creates dementia. And so the signals that fire off in your brain, like for instance, that tell your legs to move and your arms to move, the motor functions are becoming kind of jumbled. And right now, it's really hard for him. Literally, like he walks kind of like this, like he's hunched over and bent forward. And I'll say to him, Dad, move closer to the walker, stand up straight, pull your butt in. And he'll do it, and I'm not even kidding you, within 30 seconds, he's forgotten and reverted right back to that dangerous posturing. And he could fall. And in the house, we're all carpet except for the kitchen and the bathroom, which is where I worry about him most. But it came really obvious to me today as we were out. I took them to the pool after they got back from church. There's a beautiful pool here in our community, to relax, that he just can't do it anymore. Like, it's really unsafe for him. And the hard thing about this is that my mom's kind of in denial, which I kind of get, because, you're the man for 57, 58 years that you adore, that you love, and he's starting to slip away. So that's hard for her. She was in a support group on Long Island years ago. Well, not too long ago when we were there. And everybody in her support group, their loved ones are really bad off, like really bad. Like they were either completely gone mentally, or they died, or they couldn't function at all, feed themselves, any of that. And we don't have any of that, so we're really blessed. But the motor functions are slowing down. And yeah, there is some issues with his chewing. The nurse had to put a big note on the table, chew slowly, enjoy your food, take your time so you don't choke, no speaking when you're eating. But today, having them at that pool, I definitely realized that we need to get a transport wheelchair. Yeah, it's rough, it's rough, because I feel like I really would love like some super close support, like, the person that would be closest to me to be there to support me, because it is hard, and I'm watching them getting older, and of course I'm going to miss them when they're gone, but I don't really have that support right now. It's just kind of inside support. And then we do have a CNA, which is great. She's amazing. She's here Monday through Friday. And my brother and his wife and the kids, they're not far. They're like 20 minutes away. But most of it falls on my shoulders because I'm here helping them, and it's flippin' stressful. But again, it's just like another shadow world that I have to go through until I don't anymore, until it's over. And, I've had a friend who just lost his mom recently. She and my mom were like the two Latins, one of the first two Latins in Sag Harbor where I grew up, and she was an amazing woman. So I know that they're grieving now, and I know that I will miss them when they're gone. Like, I don't need to be told that. With the running theme of Persephone, I know all about that, about death. I've had people leave since I was like 7, a classmate. My brother, who wasn't my brother by birth, but was my brother. I was raised in their house across the street, and he died when I was like 23. And one of my best friend's sisters when I was like 14 in a car accident. Just a lot of, just death. Like, it really helps me to stay present in my relationships because I don't take them for granted. Anybody that I love is precious to me, and I'm going to do everything I can to like be fully present in that because, I don't know that I'm going to see you tomorrow. There's no guarantee. It's been evident in my life, so I try to keep that close to my heart. But I would love to know how everybody else, if you're going through this, how you deal with it. What were things that maybe helped you? How did it affect you? Did you have family meetings with other family members to get on board together? Support groups? Whatever it is that's helped you move through this. These are kind of a bit darker times. It's hard to see your parents get old. They were so vibrant and took care of you when you were a kid. Like, my parents were amazing. My dad was a speed walker. I mean, this is what's the irony of it all, right? He did a few walks where he raised money. Like, one was for a little boy that was born with a hole in his heart. And his mother was in the Air National Guard with my dad. And so my dad said, I'll do a fundraiser. And he walked 26 miles. It took 26 miles from Sag Harbor to Montauk, speed walking with pledges, for every mile people would donate so much money, and he raised like $80,000, and he did that a few times for other people, out of the goodness of his own heart, and now the man can barely take 2 steps, and it just kind of sucks, but thankfully he still has his voice because he was a broadcast journalist and a radio man, and, that really, like, if the voice went, he'd probably, like, wouldn't last long because I think that would be his downfall. I think when you have dementia and Alzheimer's, you're not really conscious that you have it, So maybe that's the saving grace. Maybe they're in another realm somewhere and they're not really fully aware of what's going on. But for the rest of us that are here, it is hard. So if you want to share of how you cope, I would love to hear. I think we should all be here for each other and be support for one another. Well, I hope you have a great rest of the day, and thanks for listening.